America. As I look to you from far, I wonder whether your moral and spiritual progress has been commensurate with your scientific progress. It seems to me that your moral progress lags behind. This morning, that is a quote from Dr. King, by the way. This morning, we have heard some very powerful words that came out and were written by Reverend Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. And as we remember and celebrate Dr. King's life and we worship this morning, I invite us to just take a moment to reflect on how far we've come. But to also to acknowledge the conditions that continue to plague us and keep us behind. We are not living in a post-racial era. That's just a disclaimer. Just in case you thought that we were there. We are not. Those that live in certain bodies, we feel it every day. That we are not living in a post-racial era. We're still fighting for freedom and equality in many fronts. And we certainly, without in any uncertain terms, are still experiencing an infirmity of racial bias, inequality, and lack of access. Dr. King made a call for a beloved community. A community that has in its centrality solidarity and mutuality. And he said that we are tied together in this single garment of our destiny, caught in an inescapable network of mutuality. And so we are intertwined in this community whether we like it or not. And so we feel the pain of the realities in our country because whether we acknowledge that we are in community or not, we are in community. What hurts one hurts the other. And to distance ourselves in the fallacy of thinking that one may be above of the other and what matters here doesn't matter down there is erroneous. We still live in a country that every 28 hours a black man is shot. Every 28 hours. Affordable, sustainable, and accessible health care for all continues to be an unrealized potential. We live in a neighborhood that is fighting every day for affordable housing. We live in a neighborhood that has a family sanctuary. When I came back from Puerto Rico, I realized and were shocked by the scene and the pictures and the coverage of Ravi Ragbir, an immigrant rights activist being detained by ICE pending deportation. I don't know about you, but that shook me to my core. When I first came to New York, in my first 7 days, because in your first 90 days, or my first 7 days, I was in a vigil over here in a press conference where Amanda Morales and Ravi was our leader. So I actually felt shook and felt hopeless that I missed what happened, that I wasn't in that vigil, and we're moving forward with many things. We live in a country that educational systems continues to fail thousands of children. And we boast very confidently that we are the best country in the world. That homelessness continues to exist even outside the doors of the sanctuary. We live in a country where we describe other countries with words that I cannot utter from this pulpit. Countries that these United States have exploited and used for its benefit. We live in a country where its own citizens are still without water and light and appropriate education after a storm. So friends, how do we build this beloved community? We need to depart from our individualistic interests and embrace our interdependence, because injustice anywhere is a threat for justice everywhere. And I had what I called for the first time, or maybe I identified it for the first time, a working vacation. So I was on vacation, but I was working, and one of the things that I did was to think a lot about you. Yes, as I was walking the beach. But I was working, but I was on vacation. See now? There is power in walking the beach and thinking. I'm in favor of it. So while I was walking the beach in Isla Verde, near San Juan area, because it's where we have light, I thought about our future together. And here is two words that I'm putting out there for you, for your consideration. Introspection and reflection. Okay? But those are not the two words. These are the two words. Faith and resistance. I think that we should talk about those two words and live those words. In the next year, how would it feel to be a congregation that is committed to faith and resistance?
Yes.
I mean, I can't say that God said that to me, but it just kind of came through the power. I mean, I believe that God moves in the power of the Holy Spirit, and it was on the beach. Faith and resistance. If I was like running around like crazy in New York, that may not have come, but I was not here. So, but I was thinking of you very deeply, praying for you and us in this journey, and I said, what are we going to commit ourselves to? And I said, we can't have revolution if we don't have resistance. So I think that we need to think about, how do we move forward in faith and resistance in a world where everything seems to be against us, against justice and peace? We are walking in faith and resistance. When we do ministries here in the church, they embody faith and resistance. And so there is a call for, I felt the call. Just because I wasn't here in the bomb cyclone, didn't mean that I did not. I missed the bomb cyclone, that's an aside. But, there was another kind of bomb and cyclone going inside my heart as I was walking the beach. And this faith and resistance was just building up in me. And I said, man, if we could just walk shoulder to shoulder in faith and resistance, moving forward. And so the question in Dr. King's words is not whether we will be extremists, he says, but what kind of extremists will we be? Will we be extremists for hate or for love? Will we be extremists for the preservation of injustice or for the extension of justice? Or in that dramatic scene of Calvary, on Calvary's hill, 3 men were crucified. We must never forget that all 3 were crucified for the same crime, the crime of extremism. 2 were extremists for immorality and thus fell below their environment. The other, Jesus Christ, was an extremist for love, truth, and goodness, and thereby rose above his environment. And so again, the question to us is not whether we're going to be extremists, is whether we're going to be extremists for love, whether we're going to be extremists for faith, whether we're going to be extremists in resistance. So may the God that is still giving us prophetic voices this day. Lead us forward in that vision. Amen.